They told her she didn't belong there. Not loudly at first, not cruelly, but quietly, in the way institutions reject people every day, with paperwork, checkboxes, and a sentence that sounded final. You did not meet the standard. Sniper School had rejected her. For most, that would have been the end of the story. A closed door, a line drawn, a reminder of limits. But for her, it became the beginning of something far more dangerous to doubt: determination. She walked out that day carrying more than disappointment. She carried silence. The kind that burns. The kind that follows you home and sits beside your bed at night. The kind that repeats the words over and over until they carve themselves into your thoughts. Not qualified, not ready, not enough. They never said she lacked courage. They never said she lacked intelligence. They never said she lacked discipline. They simply said she didn't fit what a sniper was supposed to look like. And maybe that was true, at least according to tradition. Sniper School was built on legacy. On legends. On men whose names were whispered with respect and fear. The standards were brutal, the washout rate merciless. It wasn't designed to be fair. It was designed to break people. And it had broken many before her. But rejection did something unexpected. It didn't crush her spirit. It sharpened it. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She didn't demand another chance. She saluted, turned, and walked away. But in her mind, a promise had already formed. She would return, not to ask, but to prove. Her training began in silence. No audience, no praise, no shortcuts. While others slept, she studied ballistics tables until the numbers became instinct. While others trained for speed, she trained for stillness. She learned how to slow her breathing until her heartbeat felt like a distant echo. She practiced holding a rifle so long that her muscles trembled, then practiced longer until they didn't. Wind became a language to her. Distance became a calculation she could feel in her bones. She trained in rain that soaked through her gear, in heat that blurred the horizon, in cold that bit into her fingers until feeling disappeared. She logged every mistake, every deviation, every missed shot. Failure became data. Pain became feedback. Doubt became fuel. People whispered. Some said she was wasting her time. Others said she was trying to prove a point that didn't need proving. A few laughed. Most forgot about her entirely. But she didn't forget the range. She returned to it again and again, long after official hours, long after approval mattered. She learned how mirage bends light, how gravity never negotiates, how patience outperforms aggression. She learned how to wait without drifting, how to focus without tightening, how to disappear into the environment until even her own thoughts grew quiet. Years passed, and then one day, her name appeared again, not on a rejection notice but on a list. A long-shot trial, an open attempt, a controlled evaluation designed to test the outer limits of marksmanship. Not a guarantee, not a second chance, just an opportunity to try. The record stood untouched for years. A distance most shooters respected but didn't challenge. A shot so demanding that even attempting it risked embarrassment. Wind drift alone could ruin it. A single miscalculation would send the round meters off target. And the farther the distance, the less forgiveness existed. Most candidates aimed safe. They chose achievable numbers, respectable numbers. She didn't. She chose the record. Observers watched quietly as she prepared. Some recognized her name from years earlier. A few exchanged looks. Wasn't she the one who didn't make it? Others shrugged. Records weren't broken by persistence alone. They were broken by perfection. She lay prone behind the rifle, body aligned with the earth, breathing controlled, eyes steady. The world narrowed until there was only wind, distance, and mathematics woven into instinct. She took her time. Minutes passed. Then more. No rush. No drama. The spotter whispered environmental data. She nodded once. Inside her mind, memories surfaced. The rejection letter, the silence, the long nights, the hours of invisible work. Not as anger, not as revenge, but as clarity. This was the moment all of it had been shaping. She adjusted by fractions most people wouldn't notice. A click here, a correction there. She slowed her breath until it matched the rhythm she had practiced thousands of times. The rifle became an extension of her nervous system. The trigger, an inevitability rather than a decision. When the shot broke, it didn't sound loud. It sounded final. The bullet traveled longer than most would dare to attempt. Gravity pulled. Wind pushed. Time stretched. Observers watched through optics, holding breath they didn't realize they were holding. Then the signal came. Impact. Clean. Confirmed. Silence followed. Not disbelief at first, but recalculation. Instruments were checked. Distance remeasured. Conditions verified. Again. And again. Each confirmation made the quiet heavier. She had done more than pass. She had shattered the longest recorded shot. Not by inches. Not by luck. By margin. The room changed. The whispers stopped. The expressions shifted from curiosity to astonishment. From skepticism to respect. The same institution that once turned her away now scrambled to process what had just happened. She stood up slowly, calmly, as if finishing an ordinary drill. No raised arms. No celebration. Just a steady breath and a quiet nod. Her face carried no triumph, only closure. News spread quickly. Headlines followed. Records were updated. Analysts debated technique, conditions, probability. Some called it historic. Others called it improbable. A few tried to explain it away with math. But none of that mattered to her. Because the real victory had already happened long before the shot was fired. It happened the day she chose not to disappear after rejection. It happened every morning she trained without recognition. Every night she reviewed mistakes no one else saw. Every moment she believed improvement mattered more than permission. The record was proof, not just of skill, but of persistence refined into precision. When asked later how it felt to break the record, she paused. Then she said something simple. I wasn't trying to prove them wrong. I was trying to see how far I could go if I didn't quit. Those words spread almost as fast as the achievement itself. Young recruits repeated them. Trainers quoted them. People far outside the military wrote them down for entirely different reasons. Because the story wasn't really about a rifle or a distance or a school. It was about rejection that didn't get the final word. It was about the long road between no and not yet. It was about what happens when someone decides their limits will be defined by effort rather than opinion. The institution that once turned her away eventually invited her back, not as a candidate, but as an example. Not to test her, but to learn from her. The halls hadn't changed. The standards hadn't softened, but the meaning of excellence had quietly expanded. And somewhere, another candidate sat reading a rejection letter, wondering if this was the end of their dream. They wouldn't know it yet, but a record-breaking shot had already answered them. Because sometimes the longest distance you ever overcome isn't measured in meters. It's measured in belief. And sometimes the people who are told they don't belong are the very ones who redefine what belonging looks like. She didn't return to sniper school to ask for acceptance. She returned to rewrite its limits. Checkmark 15-second hook, speech related. They told her she wasn't good enough for sniper school, so she walked away in silence. Years later, she came back not to ask for a second chance, but to attempt the one shot no one else dared to try. What happened next rewrote the record books forever.